Hello everyone, welcome back to ParsecGames, and today it's time for episode 6 of our Five Nights at Freddy's tutorial. And this time I did not wait 10 months to do the next episode, instead I'm doing it today. And the last one, episode 5, I recorded I think 3 days ago or 2 days ago, I don't remember. So now it's gonna be episode 6, and last time we had just finished the HUD, which is the part you see in the bottom left in just a moment. So the power left and the usage, that's what we did last time. And now the first thing we're gonna do in this episode is actually make the power go down slowly, and then we're gonna add the first jump scare, which is when you get to 0%, then Freddy pops up here in the left door, and he starts playing a song to you, and then after a while it goes completely dark, and then he jump scares you. That's what we're gonna do today. So let's see inside. Making the power go down is actually pretty easy. So we're just going to go into the usage sprite right here, and this is going to control our power. So we're going to do this script. We're going to start with the when I receive game, because it's going to start counting down the power as soon as the game starts. And here I'm actually going to use the real amount that each of these usage bars actually, how much it decreases the power is actually like in the original game. So I looked it up. So it's every second, depending on how much power you're using, it decreases by 0.1% every second for one usage bar. So the way we're going to do that is just copy this part here, which tells us how much we're using at the moment. Right now it's 1 bar, that's why it's 1. And we did that last episode. And then we're just going to add change power by multiply minus 0.104 times that. So now every second it's going to decrease by this amount. If we're using 1 bar, if we have the door closed, it's going to be double that, obviously, and so on. So let's just put that in here, restart the game, because I want to start at 100% and then see it go down. So that seems to work pretty well. Let's have a look at the power actually, at the variable, because I can imagine that there's a problem because we're not rounding it. But it seems to be okay. No, it works pretty well. Okay, yeah, perfect. Okay, that's it. Okay, now we have that working. That was pretty easy. So now let's add in when the power goes to 0, all the lights turn off, and then obviously there's this big boom sound effect, and then after a while Freddy comes, and that's all kind of random. The amount of time that Freddy waits before he comes out and that stuff is all a bit randomized. So now when the power reaches 0, obviously everything has to stop working. So the first thing we're going to do is make all the cameras stop working. So we're going to go into this bar down here, which I'm actually going to rename now. I know I said last episode I wouldn't name them, but this is kind of stupid. So camera bar is what we're gonna name it. And now just add in repeat until power equals, or power is less than 1, because I don't want to have to do all the rounding, because it could reach 0.9 and it's already gonna display as 0. So let's add in repeat until power is less than 1. And put this, instead of a forever loop, into this loop. And also, in case it's still within the loop while the power goes out, we need to add when I receive start game, wait until the power is less than 1. Where is it? Stop other scripts in this sprite. And then if the camera's up, so in case the power goes out while you have your camera up, it should automatically flip down the camera. So let's try that out. Now if we manually set the power to 0, that should, and we're in the camera, that should automatically flip down the camera. And now you also can't use this bar anymore because this ended right here. And I think we're gonna make the bar disappear actually in the end when that happens. And now for test purposes I'm gonna put the power back up to 100%. And now you can see obviously a problem because we programmed the power percentage in a way that it only goes down to 0, and then after that you can't go up anymore. So this doesn't work going up, which in the normal case it's never gonna do, so that's not a problem. But still. And I think what we're actually gonna do, just to be sure, is we're gonna have it round the power. So we're actually gonna set the power to gonna have to make this 0.104 positive instead of negative, because we're gonna add in set power to power minus this amount, and we're gonna round that so that it's always a nice round number, just to be safe, because then we won't have any problems displaying it, and it's always gonna be the exact amount that it displays down here, which is better for us. So it's gonna stay at 100 a bit longer now, because before that it immediately went to 99.8 or whatever, and that immediately showed 99%. But now it's gonna, if we just wait a moment, I think it should be around 10 seconds, then it's gonna go down to 99. But if we close more doors and open the camera, that's gonna make it go down faster. Hi everyone, this is Parsec from the future, and I just noticed while editing the video that I did a small mistake. This actually doesn't work, this script here, because if you keep rounding it and you're not at a high enough power consumption, it's never gonna go down actually, because as long as you're not using 5 bars, it's always gonna calculate, for example, from 100% goes down to 99.6, and when it rounds that, it goes back to 100, so it actually never changes the power. But there's a really easy fix for that. We just need to actually make a new variable called exact power, and then this one's going to be working with that instead. So just change these two, exact power, and then remove the rounding, and then add back in set power to the rounded amount of the exact power. Okay, and that should fix it. So whatever you do, make sure to add this, because if not, it's not gonna work, okay? So add this. I made a mistake and I didn't notice that while I was doing it, but actually if you pay attention throughout the video, whenever the power consumption is below 5 bars, it actually doesn't, the power actually doesn't go down in the video, but I fixed that now, so make sure to change it the way I did it here. So that also works, which is a good test. And now we're gonna go back. So the camera already stopped working, and now we gotta do the same thing with the buttons basically. So we're gonna do pretty much the same thing. We can actually copy this part right here with a repeat until, and this part we could just put those in one just to bring it over to the other ones. And we're gonna put this part around this. And we're gonna, yeah, and then actually we can just make it switch to we can just set the left button to 0, 0, meaning that both the lights and the doors are turned off, so to speak, and then it just switches to that. So if we do that now, we have the doors yeah, we need to restart this. If we have the door closed, this is gonna make it not open because we are not at power 0 yet. So let's set the power to 0. And of course we need to actually broadcast left door open as well. But only in case of in this case, if the door was closed before, this would be 1. In that case, it's gonna send this out. Okay, so let's actually try that again. Set the power to 100 again, just for testing purposes. Restart this part and this one. Set it to 0, and we're going to close the door now. And if we set it to 0, it's going to open. Yep. And now you also can't press any of the buttons anymore, so that works perfectly. Now we're just going to do the same thing over on the other button, on the right one. So we're going to put this, remove the hide stuff. We actually don't need that for the buttons. Put this in here. And now we can basically just copy this part right here onto the other button. I think this part, right? Yeah. And of course we need to change the variables to right button and right door open, and once again right button, and switch costume to right button. Okay, so that should work. So now you can no longer turn on the lights, and also you can't close the doors anymore. And I think it should also already this should also count for the lights as well. So the lights should turn off as soon as it goes to 0. So that we're just gonna try that out. And of course, now we have a problem, because when the game starts, the power is not at 100 yet, and it's still at 0. So what we actually need to do is to set the power to 100 a bit earlier, which is when the newspaper comes up. We're already going to set the power to 100, so we don't have any of these problems. And now it should work. I'm just going to check again. If we set the power to, if we turn on the lights and all that and set the power to 0. So all that stops working and the lights stop working. However, what you need to pay attention to is now, as you can see, the button doesn't move with the office anymore, because we also stopped this script. So now what we need to do is just add this back in here, and we can remove this part because it's inside of the forever loop. And we need to do the same thing with the left button as well. If not, it's not gonna work. Okay, so now the power is at 0, and if I restart the project, it should now work that it sets the power to 100 before it starts checking if the power is at 0. Yeah, so the doors work and everything. Buttons still work. And I'm manually gonna set the power to 0 again. And now both doors open, but the buttons still work, which is also good. Okay, now what we need to do is the fan would obviously stop if the power goes to 0. So we can just add in repeat until let's actually copy it from over here. I don't want to enter that every time. Okay, it didn't work, right? Okay, I don't know why. Duplicate it and then drag it over. Okay, put that in there, and then when the power goes out, it should just hide immediately, because we already have a fan within the office, so we don't even need this sprite anymore, and it just hides, and that's that. Works pretty well. Now when the power reaches 0, the office goes completely dark, which we also need to add. So I don't think we have that actually yet, so we need to import that image. Textures should be in the office folder, and now I'm just gonna have to look which one it is. And we're gonna need 304 and 305 both, because this is the one with Freddy's eyes. So when the power goes out, it's gonna switch to 304. So now I need to check. This is the one that controls the lights and the costume. So let's add in, once again, repeat until the power is below 1. Put that in there. And then it should just switch to, let's rename this one to dark, and this one to Freddy. So it should switch to dark. Let's do that. Okay, now it's dark. And now another thing we need to actually add, which I just noticed, is the power indicator. actually has a 0, but it doesn't go down to 0, which is strange. Okay, so the way to fix this is that we just put in switch to costume layer letter 1 of power. I don't know why, because power in this case only has 1 digit, so it should be the same thing, but apparently Scratch doesn't like that. I don't know why it doesn't work. So now if we try that again, and now what I'm gonna do actually is set the power to 5%. Now turn on all the lights and close the doors and put up the camera. Now we're just gonna wait for the power to run out, which is gonna be really quick. And as you can see, that worked really well. Really well. And now one thing we need to change actually is, if you listen, obviously the power didn't go out because there's still sound. So now we just need to add in when I receive game, wait until power is below 0 in the audio engine sprite, and then it just sets its own volume to 0 and stops the other scripts, because we don't need to repeat the sound anymore when the volume is already at 0. So let's execute that. Okay, so now the ambient sounds have stopped, but the noise is still coming. You know that I don't know what it is, the ambient office sound. So we need to go in here, and this is the one producing it. So what we need to do is add in a repeat until power is below 0 also within this one. So basically the same thing we did with the ambient sounds, we're going to do with this one as well. And then also put this one in within a repeat until loop, and then it just sets the volume to 0. And what we haven't added in yet for some reason is that the doors in the beginning need to be closed, obviously, which for some reason we hadn't added yet, but we're just going to add that in here like this. And now the doors are always going to be open when the game starts. Now let's set the power to 5 manually once again. Like, we just need to do a lot of checking just to make sure we don't break anything, because that's going to be stupid. So let's turn on all the lights. We need to fix that as well. The usage bars are in the background now. Wait for the power to run out. So that worked pretty well. Now what we're also going to do is just the usage can basically stop counting down now, because after a while it's going to go to -1, -2, -3, and that's really going to pretty much break the power indicator. So we're just going to have this one stop as well when the power goes below 1. Also, don't forget to add in a go to front in this one, because as we just saw, the door went in front of the usage indicator, which is not good. And now all this is going to stop when it's supposed to stop. It's going to stop counting down, and we can actually just make it hide, because there's no usage now, so we can just make it hide when the power goes to 0. Okay, so now the power out works. What I would actually do is make these buttons a bit darker when the power goes out, because they look a bit too bright right now. So what we can do is just go in here to the part after the power runs out and just set the brightness to, we're just gonna test out some numbers. -20 seems good, so set it to -20. Do the same thing with the buttons on the right. Now they're a lot darker. And obviously what we forgot is that this map needs to hide itself when the power runs out. So we can just add in a hide over here at the end of this script here, and that way it's gonna hide as well. Okay, so now what we're gonna add is obviously the power out sound when the power runs out. So we're just gonna put that into the power percentage object. So let's upload the sound, which is here in sounds, and I think office power down, and we can just add that, and we can just add in when I receive start game, wait until the power is below 1, and it just plays that sound. And I'm not sure, but I think these actually disappear when the power goes to 0. At least that's what I would do, because right now they have no use, and it's going to be kind of distracting having these in here. So we can just go into the HUD and add into this when I start as a clone. Repeat until the power goes below 1. Go to front layer. And then they can just delete themselves. And we can do the same thing over here. Go to front, and then it should just hide itself. Okay, so now if we restart it, we're just going to try out the power out now. As you can see, lights work, doors work, cameras still work. And now we're just going to set the power to 5 manually. 4, 3, 2, 1. So that worked really well actually, except we forgot to make these things hide as well. So we're just going to add in when I start as a clone, over here at the power percentage. When I start as a clone, wait until power is below 1 and then just delete the clone. That should fix this floating 0 here. That should fix it. And now I'm not going to restart the project now just to see if this works. It's obviously going to work, I know that. So now what we're going to add in is actually Freddy, who comes over here and then starts playing his song. So what we're going to do is just go into the office sprite, and then we're going to look over here where we ended with switch costume to dark, which is the last action the office sprite took. And now what we're going to do is wait a random amount, pick random between, I'm not sure how much time it is in the original. I'm going to say something random between 6 and no, that's a bit, oh well, 6 and 10 seconds. And then we're going to send out a signal, a broadcast, which is Freddy doorway music. And then we're gonna what we're actually gonna have to do is reset a new timer. Reset the timer and then repeat until the timer has reached an amount above a certain amount, which is also going to be random. So it's going to play the music for this random amount, which is going to be, let's say, between 10 and 14 seconds. It's just going to keep switching between the Freddy and the dark costume randomly, also with a random weight. As I said, there's a lot of randomness in here, so 0.1 and 0.3 maybe. Like that. Okay, and now let's go to a sprite that hasn't played any sounds so far, because we need to play his Theodore march. So we're just going to go to the Freddy here, actually, to the main menu Freddy, because he hasn't played any sounds yet, just to be sure that we don't interfere with any other sounds. So we're going to look for sounds, animatronics, Freddy music box. So probably recognize that. Now we're going to add in when I receive Freddy doorway music. It's going to play that. And also set its volume to 100, just to be sure. So now I'm just going to try that out, see how it works. Okay, so everything works fine. Now we're gonna set the power to 5. Turn on everything just to make it go down faster again, and also to see that everything actually turns off. Okay, it looks pretty good, not gonna lie, it looks pretty good. Now we just gotta wait a random amount between 6 and 12 seconds for Freddy to appear, and he starts playing his music. Perfect. But I would actually make it flash a bit faster. So what we gotta do is go into the office, and just make these amounts a bit smaller. And now the timer has already run out. But I think I'm gonna make it more random between 16 and 20 seconds. That's when it should stop. So let's add in send start Freddy death. And that's gonna make, when that happens, the office goes dark. Okay, so let's try that out. And also what we need to add, another thing, is that when the brightness goes to 0, then you can actually hear Freddy walk towards you. So what we're gonna add in is broadcast Freddy walk. And that's once again gonna be with a random wait between 1 and 4 seconds. And that's gonna be played by the newspaper sprite, just because we don't want to interfere with any other things. So that's gonna be in animatronics walking. Let's put that in here, that sound. When I receive, should be a Freddy walk. Okay, so let's try out, let's see the power run out. Set power to 5. Make it run out faster again. What we shouldn't forget is also, yeah, almost forgot that. So as you can see, the flashing wasn't fast enough. We also need to add in start Freddy death needs to set the volume to 0 on the Freddy sprite, and the flashing has to be a bit faster. I think random time between 001 and 003 maybe. Let's just try that out. And in the end, the brightness should be set to -100. And we also gotta add in that the buttons disappear because they're really bright still. So we're just gonna add in when I receive start Freddy death, it's gonna stop all other scripts in the sprite, and it's just gonna disappear. We can just copy this over to the other button and also to the doors as well. Let's just try it out from the beginning again. So now you could hear Freddy walking towards you. Then after this is done, it should wait a random number of seconds again. Wait, pick random between 3 and 5 seconds. And then it should just trigger the Freddy jump scare. So new message, jumpscare.freddy. Now we gotta actually make a new sprite for that. So let's upload that. Should be in textures, jump scares, Freddy. That's the one. Open that. And now it's importing all the jump scare images. And now let's just select any one so we can actually center it and make the size the correct size as a test, so to speak. Set the size to 125 maybe, no, 130. Because I want to fill up the full screen with him. 135, okay. And now let's just have it switch to this one and then repeat. I think it should be 20 times. Switch to next costume. And we need to import the jump scare sound. Sounds. animatronics, X Scream and X Scream 2. I think this one is the real one and this one is the golden Freddy. Yeah, this is the right one. So we need to play that sound obviously. And then just set the volume to at 100 at the beginning and set the volume to 0 when the jump scare is over. And then we need to actually add in the receiver as well. So when I receive, where is it? Didn't I make a broadcast already? Didn't I call it jumpscare.freddy or something? Let me check. Okay, apparently didn't do it. Okay. Jumpscare.freddy. Put that over here. And now when I receive jumpscare.freddy, it's gonna do that. And then also it's gonna broadcast death screen. And now we also gotta add in the death screen as well. So let's just make a new sprite once again. Textures, and from the static, gonna need just a couple of these. And this is gonna have the death screen sound as well. Sounds dead. So the first couple seconds are gonna be static and then it's gonna show you the death image. For some reason the death screen is in the cams and then employees only, because I guess that's a room, but it's really not where it belongs. But anyways, so that's the death screen, obviously you know it. And then let's have this one go to the middle as well, and I think the size should be the same with which was I think 135, right? Yeah. So now when it receives the screen, it's gonna play the sound and it's gonna switch to costume 12, and it's gonna be repeating for a couple of times. Switch to costume and then a random number between 1 and 7, I think 7. Yeah, because we have 7 static images, so it's going to switch between 1 and 7. And now what we got to do is the static continues until this first part here is over. This one. So now we just got to guess a number here, how often it repeats, because after that it switches to the death screen. So 100 is too much, maybe 80. No. 60 maybe. Yeah. Let's try it out again. Yeah. Pretty good. Okay, so now you can already die in the game. And of course, we gotta add in again when the flag is clicked. This one has to hide, and this one is the jump scare as well. Okay, where did it go? Scratch is kind of bugging out right now, which is not good. Let's add in a hide over here as well. And then obviously when the jump scare comes, it has to show up, and hide again when the death comes. This one has to show when the death comes. Freddy jump scare. And also don't forget to add in go to front just in case. Same with this one. Okay, let's start the game. And let's kill ourselves in the game. Don't kill yourself in real life. Okay. Make it go down to 0 again. You can hear him walking towards you, and it's gonna jump scare me in a moment. Jump scare incoming. Yeah. Okay. Now one thing we need to change is it needs to switch to this costume in the beginning because you could see his eye first and then the jump scare came. So if we do it like this, that's gonna fix it. Okay, pretty good. I think that's it for today. Freddy can already jump scare us. The power can run out. So that works. So the first possible death has been programmed into our game. And I hope these episodes are going to come out a bit more frequently now. I think this one's going to come out probably like a week or something after the episode 5. So I'm starting to speed up the process a little bit now. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope your project is working just fine. If you have any problems, just comment. And I'll try to help you with it. And don't forget to like and subscribe as well, because we're at almost 800 subscribers, and I really want to get to 1,000 subscribers. That would be really good, really great. So see you in the next episode.